Hi and welcome to Shakey's Sports Journeys. Another episode today going back into cricket with Scottish cricket. But I'm going to start by giving a quick shout out to my cricket sponsor for this season, who is Duck and Run Cricket, as you can see there. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Website duckandruncricket.co.uk for all your clothing and all your cricketing equipment needs. And if you want to get a discount, use Shaky15 as your code for 15% off. So shout out to those guys. Today's guest, I say how's it to the Scotland national team coach, Shane Berger. How you doing, my friend?
Shaky, I'm very well, thank you, and yourself. And I just want to thank you for getting me back on the podcast.
Listen, I had to be done. I'm sure there'll be more opportunities, hopefully down the line as well. But back by popular demand, coach. So nice to have you. Nice to have you with us. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be discussing your recent tour with the national team squad out to the Netherlands, which I'm sure was very nice, considering what were the amount of days again that since you played last?
Yeah, it was an incredible 519 days without international cricket for Scotland, which I've been watching a bit of the live stream with the girls. They were more than that. They were over 600 days. So it's
unbelievable.
It's just crazy when you think about it.
Well, you're back now, and it looked like a decent trip that you had there, and we'll go into talking about it. Talk to me about your preparation first and foremost. I witnessed a few things online. I think you were training at Heriot's cricket ground. Tell me a little bit about the prep.
Yeah, we had some really good prep going into the series. We know we needed about a 6-week build up into the series. I think that you'd prioritize a few things within those 6 weeks. Your first couple of weeks would be just there for the guys to get back into it physically and really make sure the basics are sound, and then you'd move more into a phase of getting some scenario work done. And then the final 2 weeks, actually, which is probably the most important, was getting some cricket in. So we had a couple of games organized at Clydesdale. We were going to play sort of a team A versus a team B, and just something we've been really short of is cricket, and just really getting the guys under pressure. And you know this as well as many, Shaky, you can't substitute any game of cricket for another training session. I think the more you can get in the pressure cooker, as I like to call it, the better. And unfortunately that the second game was affected by rain at Clydesdale, so we didn't get an opportunity to go and play. So we went into that series with only really playing one proper full game of cricket with another T20 as a training match. So again, not absolutely ideal preparation going into a series, an international series, but from a training point of view, I think we controlled as much as we could. And I think from a management point of view and from a player's point of view, when you are controlling everything that you possibly can, that's all you can do going into the series. So that's where you look at and I know we're going to go into the nuts and bolts of the series, but you look at how the series panned out. I'd like to believe that a lot of the training and the conversations that were had allowed us to handle those pressure situations a lot better going through the series.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a rain in Glasgow, Shane. So doesn't surprise me. But listen, you can only work with what you have, and you seem to do the best you could with what was available to you. The guys must have been buzzing. Let's have a little chat about the squad. A lot of familiar faces, a mix of experience along with youth as well. Obviously, you've got some very experienced cricketers now, like your skipper, Kyle Coetzer, Callum McLeod, Richie Berrington. These guys have been around for a long time now. Who were some of the youth that you were going to be having a look at in that squad?
Yeah, so you mentioned the experience, but 18 months out of international cricket does funny things to you, Shaky. As you nearing sort of the back end of your 30s, anything can happen, and then someone like Carl and Richie and these guys, as experienced as they are, they still need cricket, to fall back on. So look, we did go there with a wealth of experience and probably far more experience than that Dutch team that was presented to us, but it gave us an opportunity to take probably a couple of peripheral sort of players that we maybe haven't had a lot of cricket in the past, even before the pandemic. So we didn't pick any of the county players because of the bubble, taking them out of the county stuff. We didn't want to keep guys out of cricket for too long. So I think it gave us the chance to pick 14 players that are probably more locally based sort of players. And you would have seen us also shuffle the team over the 2 games. You know, it's very tough over a 2-game series to try and give all 14 players a go. And you also want to make sure that you're winning international games. So it's a very hard balance to strike. But what I think we did have on this particular tour is we had 14 players that probably could come in at any point, and could play in different roles and come in and make an impact in whatever role they might have been playing. So yeah, we looked at taking, you know, the likes of a Gavin Main, who hasn't been around the squad for a while. Someone like Adrian Neal, who did play previously a couple of years ago, but reintroducing him into the squad. Michael Leask, who was left out of the previous trip and was reintroduced back into the squad. And it was an opportunity for those guys to really come into the team and show what they're about, you know. And I think someone like Gavin, who came in, bowled incredibly well in that first game and really showed that he has the sort of added pace that we're looking for at times. You know, you want to point to difference in your bowling attack always. And you see someone like, and I'm only covering the bowlers at the moment, but someone like Evo, who came in and really, you know, produced the goods. So it just shows that all the hard work he's also done during the pandemic really was nice to see that resulted in wickets for him. You know, so it's a nice little reward at the end of it for him. And then Leesky coming in, and, you know, he only had one job to do, and that was to bowl his 1 over. He got the left-hander out, and 1 over, 1 for 1, job done, you know, for him. And the skipper pulled him off, and lucky enough didn't have to bat, you know, because Budgie and Munsey did the job in the end. So I've mentioned only a few of the guys coming in, but those sort of peripheral players, as we want to call it, got an opportunity to show what they were about.
No, that's great. Let's get into this then. Got my laptop here. Got the first ODI scorecard up. Rain affected match. First ODI, Rotterdam, May 19, which was just around a week ago. The Dutch, did they win the toss?
The Dutch won both the tosses, actually. So our skipper needs to do a bit of work in that when he's at home isolating over the next few days, and to practice his tossing. But we unfortunately lost both tosses, and in a way, I mean, we're the sort of team, Shaky, whether you win or lose the toss, we're pretty comfortable that we can do the job with both skill sets. So lost the toss, you know, and on a wicket that was pretty tricky, I must admit. I thought.
Yeah, I watched a bit of it. It wasn't. It didn't look the easiest to score on. You
initially looked at it, had a good covering of grass on it. It was a little bit patchy, so I think we were expecting a bit of a 2-pace nature. I must admit, I don't think I thought it looked a lot better than actually the way it played. So we thought there would be more runs in it, but actually that just goes to show that we really had to adapt with the way that we especially batted on that wicket, I thought. To give the guys credit, Shake, you know, in a rain-interrupted game, you know what it's like as a player. It's an incredibly frustrating place to be, because you don't know when you're going to start. You don't quite know where you know, how aware you need to be in terms of starting. So I call it a bit of a rain focus, and I must admit our rain focus was absolutely brilliant. For a team that hasn't played for such a long period of time, I thought we were just on it straight away. And that probably comes from the excitement of the guys being back and being on a trip again.
The boy opened up then for the Dutch, did pretty well. Max O'Dowd, he scored 82. Good player.
He's a very good player. He's taken to international cricket like a duck to water. You know, he's played, I think the stat was he's now got, in his first 3 knocks, he's got three scores of 50 and above in ODI cricket. He's gone away and come up with a new trigger movement, which was very interesting to see. So he gets his bat quite high up now and moves quite a lot. So again, you know, opportunity for our bowlers to adjust, because probably the Max O'Dowd they would have bowled to in those World Cup qualifiers a couple of years back has gone away and also had a look at his game. You know, players are constantly trying to improve. So yeah, so he's a good player.
Good player. He obviously was the main reason that they were able to put on a decent total. Bowling figures, very impressive up top by the giraffe that I call him, Ali Evans. 6 overs for 24, 1 wicket. Pretty steady figures then. Must be bowling he was bowling quite consistent there.
Yeah, Evo, and I mentioned it earlier, has prepared incredibly well for this series. You know, I think you to also give our new assistant coach and lead bowling coach some credit. I think he's worked with a lot of these players previously, so I think someone like Evo would be really familiar with what Righty is looking for from a bowling point of view, and I think he stepped up straight away into the role that was required for him to perform. I think in many years gone by, he would have probably come in and taken a bit of a first change role at times, but he got the new ball and really committed to it and bowled excellently at times.
My good friend Safi, not as impressive figures as I'm used to seeing from Safi, but I think in all of this we have to be not too clinical on some of the players, because like you say, this would have been the first time for a long time that these guys have got out on the pitch. But Safi returning figures of 6 overs for 41, got a wicket. But on his day, I would expect Safi to be a little bit more on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all know Safi pretty well. I mean, everybody will remember him, taking that final wicket against England. We know he's a big match player, Safi. We know he also needs a lot of bowling under his belt to be bowling well. I think confidence comes from not only in the way you train, but also in your performances in a game that can build confidence. And the more and more we can give the likes of Safi that game time, the better. He probably wasn't where he knows he needs to be and where he expects himself to be. But we also need to remember that it has been a long layoff, and he was injured during the pandemic too. He had an elbow injury, and coming back from an elbow injury, being a fast bowler is probably always in the back of your mind too. But he's completely over that now, and I have no doubt over the next few months he's just going to keep going from strength to strength.
Yeah, you mentioned the youngster. I've heard a lot about this young lad, Gavin Main. I've actually never, strangely enough, ever played against him, which, being from the West, you'd think I would have bumped into him by now, but I haven't. But great figures, 7 overs, 2 for 16. I mean, that really puts you in the game, those type of figures. Impressed with what you've seen?
Yeah, it's got great attributes, Gav. He gets the bit between his teeth as a fast bowler. That's what you want. He runs in hard. He's got the ability to bowl really quick at times when everything clicks for him. He's also got the ability now just to move the ball around a touch. And I think when you're asking questions of both sides of the bat, and someone can bowl a short ball at you, then that puts your technique under a lot of pressure. And I think Gav was excellent. He also, probably the figures could have been better. I think he beat the bats a lot. Didn't quite get the rewards as he did. Should have or deserved. But he was that real point of difference for us that could come in and bowl quick and just maybe even, within partnerships with the other bowlers, even help them out a touch more. So it's excellent to see. I must mention, I thought his fielding was superb too. So I think in terms of taking an opportunity, I think he really did that well.
Can he bat, Shane?
He can bat. He's got an incredible ability to bat. There's a bit of a running joke within the team that he takes his batting very seriously, and that's what you want from a number 9 or a number 10 coming in, who potentially need to score you a few runs at the end to win you the game. He's a far better batter than he gives himself credit for, and I think he if he keeps working on his batting, he could certainly become a very good number 8 or a number 7 within a batting lineup. So he's got good skills when he plays.
No, that's good to hear, and he's certainly put his name in the hat, I'd imagine, for future selection with a performance like that. Because as you mentioned, there's county boys to come back in. There's going to be competition for places, but that's exactly what you want, coach. You want that kind of headache. You don't want to be putting guys on the pitch that you're just doing it for the sake of it. So it's good to see that this young lad's put his name in the hat. Your golden child, as everyone keeps telling me, next up, Mark Watt. I hear Hamza and Mark had a little giggle in the recent podcast where Hamza said, yeah, Mark's the golden boy. 6 overs, 2 for 28. I'm very impressed with this lad. He just keeps delivering for consistently now for a long period of time. I feel like he's a bit unlucky not to be playing county cricket at the moment, because I thought he performed pretty well down there as well.
Yeah, he's got an amazing ability, Shaky, to be consistent. The word you just mentioned, he keeps putting in performances. In such a lengthy period of time out, anything could happen to players. And I think you see Mark Watt, you wouldn't have said he hasn't played international cricket for almost 2 years. And I think, I think he probably bowled better in the second game and didn't quite get his rewards, I thought, and probably deserved better figures in the second game. But his appetite to put in performances and also keep getting better every single day is something that is really good about him. He can also bat, and I think his ability with the bat and his will keep getting better and better. And he's a left-handed option with the bat too that can come in down the order and become a finisher. Also, again, I thought his fielding has really gone up a few notches too, and it's something that he really is priding himself on. And the other thing with Waddy too is he might seem like a really young lad within the squad, but he's actually a really good leader within this team, and we certainly value his opinions. And I think he is taking up more of a leadership role within this team. So he keeps impressing. But he also knows that there's still areas of his game that he can get better at, so that he can command county places and other competitions, because that's where he wants to play the highest level of cricket he can. He wants to play for Scotland, but he also wants to represent other teams in various competitions, as are many others in the world.
Good to hear. His spin pal, who we recently had on, tough day at the office. Hamza had 5 overs for 36. He got himself a wicket. Again, was this an example of maybe just not enough game time? Caught a little bit cold there.
Yeah, definitely. Hamza has been absolutely superb. His commitment to training, his appetite to want to keep getting better too. I use that word a few times now. Is second to none. He's a fantastic human being, and I think what he did during the pandemic in terms of losing quite a bit of weight, getting himself fitter and stronger, and also works hard on his batting. He's got an appetite to want to bat too. He probably started incredibly well, got that wicket early on. I thought he bowled a fantastic delivery to dismiss the batter, and then just started bowling maybe a touch too slow, and that again comes from game time, doesn't it, and confidence, and certainly leaving him out in the second game wasn't due to maybe a poor performance. I think it's more a case of getting 1 or 2 others again, and also we know what Hamza can deliver by now, and I think we're pretty confident that he will keep delivering into the future. So he's on the right path, and we're very happy with where he is.
Well, it's good to hear he's working on his batting, because when I first seen him, he was a walking wicket. So that's good to hear that he's constantly working on it, because it's only going to benefit you for the guys at the lower order. Can sometimes win you games with the bat and get you over the line. So good to hear Hamza's working on that. Then the old boy, most underrated bowler I think Scotland have produced, keeps churning them out. 3 overs for 12, nice and tidy from Richie Berrington. Still big part of your bowling plans moving forward?
Yes, Shaky. It's nice to have your number 4 batter that can offer you anything from 0 to 10 overs in a 50-over game. I think the talk with Barrow is he's always an option with the ball. I think if the conditions dictate that he needs to be bowling, he will be the guy that the ball gets thrown to. I think Carl has a lot of confidence in Richie, and the one thing Richie does bring into the team too is he is a wicket taker. More often than not, when Richie's come on, he's changed the game in some sort of way. He's provided a moment that potentially could change the game. So he's a wonderful package to have in your team, and I think he reads the game incredibly well. So I think the longevity of his career, probably not bowling as much in 50-over cricket and probably more in T20 cricket, which is why someone like Dylan Budge has come into the team, and that provides also another option with the ball, I think. And I think it's for us as a coaching staff and us as a nation is to keep finding guys that can commit to roles, whether that be to get us short-term success or long-term success. And I think that's the balance we're trying to strike with the team that we're picking.
No, it's good to hear. Good to hear. Constantly evolving. So you look at that Dutch scorecard and you just think, if you take that 82 out, that's a totally different game of cricket. I mean, from Cooper at number 3, 10, Sealer 0, 4, 0. You were right in the game. You had them in trouble, but the lads played a good knock, and he's managed to get his team to a respectable total of 163 for 8 of 33 overs, which I'm sure you were fairly confident of chasing down. Bit of a bumpy start with our top 3. Kyle kind of got himself in there to 9, and Callum as well got himself to 14. Unfortunately, couldn't kick on. But then a very important partnership between Richie and George Munsey, which must have been given the changing room plenty of confidence that you were going to get to that total. Yeah,
definitely. And just to go back to our bowling effort again, I suppose the big learning for us during that series was when we did have them under pressure, when we had them 5 down really early on, is what could we have done just to keep that pressure on them? And I felt we just took the foot off the gas a little bit. But really good to have them in that position. I think from a batting point of view, in both games, if you're going to analyze both games, we lost early wickets. And I think in terms of the brand we want to play, we want to keep pushing the envelope in terms of our scoring. We are a team that is looking to score, and we pick players to do that. So to be 3 down early on always puts that middle order under huge pressure. And that's where someone like your George Menzies, as you mentioned, I thought Richie played superbly in that first game until he unfortunately got out.
Great strike rate.
But again,
41 off 43, so he was batting beautifully.
Yeah, and it seemed like they had real control in the game. And then you lose a wicket, and pressure does some really funny things to players when they walk in, and maybe the wicket isn't conducive to run scoring, and you've got to find different ways. That's what life of a batsman is like in international cricket. Bowlers are going to put you under big pressure, and you've got to keep finding ways to score runs. And we just unfortunately didn't do it in that first game. But it was really pleasing to see in the second game that we were probably in the same situation, and we handled it really, really well. And for me, the shining light, Shaky, is the way George played. I think George showed huge maturity in his game. I think everybody's very, George is familiar with him coming in and scoring runs really quickly and having a high strike rate, and everybody wants to see Munsey hitting sixes. Whilst we know he has that game, it was really pleasing to see that he also has the game to manage the innings. And I actually called it was an innings of the overseas pro, where you manage the innings and you make sure that the team wins. And I think for me, that's a huge feather in George's cap in terms of where his batting has got to.
The Michael Bevan of Scottish cricket, you could turn him into then in ODI cricket, because he's clearly got the ability to finish. Quite good to see, though, that, like you mentioned, Mark, Safi and Gavin, they hung around and they tried to get a couple of runs towards the back end as well. But I think you looking at that scorecard, you've lost a couple of wickets there, and we unfortunately didn't quite recover. 149 for 8, and that was the first ODI done. You've been very honest in your assessment of it.
And just on that, Shaky, just in terms of our batting, many would have seen on the live stream, there wasn't a boundary hit in the last, I think it might have been 6, 7, 8 overs or something like that, which is very rare in a 50-over game, or even you would expect boundaries to be hit. And it just shows you the nature of the wicket and how tough it was to be hitting boundaries. So I think learning again for us there was just how we manage those periods a little bit better.
All around.
Absolutely. And sometimes you might need to put your pride aside and put the boundary options away and just really manage yourself to get over the line. That's what good teams do. And I think whilst we absolutely understood that, and those were the conversations, the reality of actually doing it is the end product, isn't it? And that's just something we couldn't do. Well,
you obviously had a team meeting after the first ODI, I'd imagine. Some nice food in the evening, and whatever the guys ate and whatever you said to them and you discussed, you put a lot of the wrongs from the first ODI right in the second ODI. So Dutch batted first again. Decent total, nothing to. But like you say, on a tough wicket, 171 was still something on the board. This time you managed to get the scorer from the previous day, Max O'Dowd, out quite early, and Mybra, who's also, I've known of him for a good few years. He's a dangerous player for them up top, but you didn't really allow him to go on, only really getting 40. Some good performances in the middle with Scott Edwards getting 56. So they got 171, but let's talk about your bowling attack, and in particular, the Giraffe, who's been around forever now, played in World Cups, etc., and has, like you said, become more of a change-up option. But in both games, he consistently performed for you, and he got himself a 5 for 43 of 9.4 overs.
Yeah, he bowled incredibly well. I thought he got his just reward, and I always say it's small moments in the game. I'll give you an example. He chased the ball down to the boundary, saved the 1 run sliding stop whilst he was bowling his final spell. He must have been pretty tired at that stage. Ran all the way to the boundary, slid, saved 1 run. The next ball, we got a wicket. And I think it's moments like that people don't often see. And then he got added wickets after that to get his 5. So I think it was thoroughly deserved. The work he's put in, he's been in a great space recently, and just really happy for him that it came off on the day. And I think to give other bowlers credit too, you speak about Evo being a giraffe. You know, the big man Adrian Neal came in and I thought bowled superbly with a new ball.
9 overs for
And
20, 1 wicket. That's proper figures.
absolutely, he was really good. And the most impressive thing was probably how he came back and bowled his second spell, which has quite often been, you know, his the monkey on the back, to call it, for 80, is how he comes back and bowls that second spell. And that's also credit to the work he's been putting in, you know, the fitness work and being able to come back and do it under pressure. And unfortunately, Gav probably didn't quite back up the day he had previously, and that, you know, to his own admittance, would have not have bowled as well as he did the day before. But great to see Gavin play 2 games of cricket in a row. For someone who hasn't played a lot of cricket in the recent past, dealt with a lot of injuries too, fantastic to see him come through 2 games. And I think he would walk away with a lot of pride. And, you know, the rest were pretty solid, if I'm honest. Did we bowl as well as we did the first day, Shaky? I don't think we did. I think there were times where we got away with a little bit, and that's just being brutally honest. But I think we put that right with the bat, and that's what good teams do.
Curious to know more about Dylan Budge's bowling. Obviously, he's a boy from the East. I've never actually seen him bowl. I've seen he's had a haircut now, so that maybe has something to do with his bowling. He doesn't want to get his hair in his eyes. 5 overs for 19, coming on first change. 3 at just you know, less than 4 and over. That's pretty good going.
Yeah, so Dylan's put a lot of work into his bowling. It's not like he hasn't bowled previously. He did. He had an injury for a while, which put him off bowling and probably gave him a chance to really focus on his batting. He also went away during this last winter to South Africa, and while he was there, he put a real emphasis on his bowling. He's got a weird action. Okay. He bowls off the wrong foot. He kind of you know, he can rush you at times, a bit quicker than you might think. So it's a really good option to have within our unit. You know, someone who can come in at 6 and also bowl you a few overs just makes a real sort of nice balance to your team. So Shaky, yeah, he's another guy that can come in and give us overs, which is a real positive.
It sounds like he'd be quite handy in T20 cricket as well. I think with that type of action, something different as an option. So that's good to hear. Mark again, consistent, 10 overs for 40. Unfortunately, no wicket, but again, just consistency. As you mentioned, Leesky back in the team, 1 over, 1 wicket, 1 run. Job done by him. And then the old boy again, Richie, 7 overs, 1 for 23. So it looks like a real team effort from the boys. You've got plenty of options in that bowling attack.
Yeah, it's something we've spoken about quite a bit, is how many options can we have, but more importantly, when it is your day, how you take advantage of that. You know, a good bowling unit is guys that when they do get the ball in the hand and the conditions are dictating that it's their day, they need to cash in, as Ali Evans did, as Richie did. You know, I think Richie didn't quite get his rewards. I thought he bowled a lot better than that, actually, and he had a couple of balls that went down to third man that actually, you know, could have been out on a different day. So he was excellent, and the fact that we have those options and we can adjust it according to the conditions is a really nice place to be, Shaky.
Good to hear, Coach. Good to hear. Batting display reads a little bit better, although not so much. Again, as we touched on, you were in a little bit of trouble there. 4 wickets down, people getting in, and unfortunately not kicking on. But then that brought together 2 players that I think we'll all have high hopes for. As you mentioned, George Munsey, to me and to many, is probably seen as this guy just comes out and whacks it. But 79 off 100 balls, is that 100 balls? Yep, 79 off 100 balls shows a lot of maturity under quite a bit of pressure. You don't want to go away there and lose both ODIs. That would have been a bit disappointing. So showed a lot of character and supported very well by Dylan Budge with 40 off 47. You must have been sitting very cozy watching that partnership and really happy with what you've seen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've already mentioned, you know, quite a bit about George. What pleased me was I thought we got off to a good start. I thought Kyle and Crossy certainly had learnt from the previous day, and the sort of shot selection was of a better nature, I think, and just really disappointing for us to then lose 3 wickets for no runs. So from a pretty good position of being 30 without loss to 30 for 3, you know, you suddenly you think, oh well, here we go from yesterday again. But then in walks Dylan Budge, who was under pressure because he unfortunately had not played the way he wanted to in the first game. Suddenly he walks out in the second game and now has to get us over the line. But I think him and George in you know, combined really well and just managed the situation incredibly well. You know, I think it is also quite nice to have someone like a Michael Lease coming in at 7, who is there as, I don't want to say a safety blanket, but as another batter that could come in and keep changing the game for those guys. So that's just good to see George take responsibility, and good to see Dylan finish with a not out and to win a game for their country. I think the boys are really pleased about that. And as I keep mentioning, good learnings from the previous day, and to see the boys put it into action is something we need to keep getting better at doing, because when the cricket does come, it's going to come quick and fast. And we've got to make sure we keep adapting, Shaky. You know what the associate world's like, you know, and every game is a must-win game. So you've got that pressure on you all the time. And if you do lose a game of cricket the day before, you've got to come out the next day and make sure that you're on it, and you quickly put that aside. And I think we did that really well.
It just shows you, like you mentioned at the start, Shane, game time. There's so many things that you will take away from that as coach and as a squad as well. Lots of positives to come out of that. Some areas to work on. I think one area in particular in both games is losing wickets in bunches is always going to put you under pressure. So be good to see, you know, next time round, if we do lose a wicket or two guys just like Dylan and George Dunn, just kind of settling things down and batting through. But looking at it, you know, Ali Evans, Gavin Main, Dylan Budge, great performances. It seemed like, you know, all the squad did a little bit, and I think that's important. Maybe now when you go into the next series, it might not be so much about giving everybody a shot, and you'll be looking to get your best 11 on the park. But I think it was a successful tour for you guys, and you must be buzzing to actually get to see the boys out there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the pleasing things for me, Shaky, to come out of the trip is just how the guys manage themselves in the environment, which is now COVID. You know, just the way the team really stuck together, the way the lads get on, the appetite for wanting to win cricket games, you know. So I think it's fine being a good bunch of lads, but we still want to win, you know. And I think to get that combination right is really important. And yeah, I'm really pleased with a lot of the stuff that I saw in the Netherlands, but I think this unit will also know that we've got to go away and put in some really hard work over the next month or two to make sure that we get ready for this Cricket World League too, because that, again, the pressure is going to be on, and every game's a must-win game. So I'm really confident with where we are, and it was a really enjoyable trip. You know, we now have to do a 10-day home isolation for our teams going over there during the pandemic, but it's also an opportunity to learn, and the feedback that I've got from the guys is really, really honest and open and fantastic. So I think the environment is in the right place, and we're on the right curve.
So you mentioned there that I was going to come on to that, but you touched on it a little bit. Over the next month or so, all preparation then. When does that start, the World Cricket League?
So we got World Cricket League games in July. So we've got 8 ODIs through the course of July and August, which will then keep. So we've played 8 games already in the Cricket World League 2 stuff. So that'll take us 16 games, and by then we'll have a really clear idea of where we're sitting in those logs. We have to finish in the top 3, but we've set ourselves a goal of winning that Cricket World League 2. So we've got to make sure that, you know, this next phase of 8 games is incredibly important for us. So the lads will have good preparation for that, Shaky. They'll have a regional series, which they're going to compete in from a 50-over point of view. So it gives everybody an opportunity to put performances in, to get game time, to really commit to their roles, you know, in any given team that they're playing. And I'm just looking forward to watching more cricket, you know, going around, and whether that's in Glasgow, whether that's in Dundee or Edinburgh, you know, it's just going to be great to get around and see a lot of cricket played this summer, because I think everybody can't wait for that.
Well, I look forward to seeing you over in Glasgow, mate. That would be nice. Get you over to the good part, good city, good, you know, people make Glasgow and all that. I'm sure you'd enjoy plenty of time over here. What's just to kind of come towards the end. Finishing and winning the World Cricket League would be awesome. But what are the other ultimate goals of you as a coach and this squad? Where are you wanting to see them in 18 months to 2 years' time?
It's a very good question, Shaky. And I think ultimately your tenure as a coach will always be judged on that, isn't it? So everybody wants to see success. Everybody wants to, and ultimately success in international sport means winning cricket games. But I also think you can also achieve success in other departments. You know, I think it's very important that we make sure that the longer term vision of Scottish cricket is in a good place. You know, we still want to make sure that we are achieving full membership. I think that's the number one goal, and we do talk about it a lot, but we can only control what we can, and that's, you know, as a team, as a high performance team, we want to win cricket games. So goals that we've set is certainly in the T20 World Cup. You know, we also know that when we get through to that next phase of the World Cup, in terms of playing more full members and giving ourselves a chance of getting into a semi-final, you know, we're allowed to dream, you know, and I think if we're not allowed to dream, then we're in a dangerous place. So we have to believe that we can go there and make an impact in that tournament. And I truly believe we're going to have a squad of players that can do that in the shortened version. We play an exciting brand of cricket, and I do honestly believe we can go there and make an impact. So we know that when we get through that next phase, we automatically qualify for the next T20 World Cup, which is another opportunity again, you know. And you know, when you get to the end of your career, what are the things you talk about most? It's memories, it's achievements, it's talking about those times you were at a World Cup, or it's just those are the memories you want to leave with the squad. And for me, it's about the legacy that Carl Kutzer, Richie Barrington, Callum McLeod, etc., leave the squad to be able to be able to take that younger generation through and enjoy full membership when it does happen. So that's the goals and aspirations certainly we have as a team. I think as an organization, it's to make the game mainstream. You know, I cannot wait for the day, Shaky, when I walk into a Sports Direct and I see a Scottish cricket top being sold, you know, and not just a football and a rugby shirt. Love football and rugby, don't get me wrong, but I want to see that cricket top being sold. And that for me will mean we're in a better place in terms of Scottish cricket.
Well, you need the opportunities, and you need to make those opportunities. Like you say, we've already shown, but it's in the past now. You know, we did beat England, and it's something all us Scottish cricket fans will keep talking about in 10, 20, 30, 40 years' time. But it would be nice to get some more scalps. The one thing that I'm desperate to see is Scotland at a World Cup and beating one of the big nations. I think that's the ultimate goal. Our neighbours, the Irish, have done it a few times.
Yeah.
I personally think we're a stronger team than the squad than the Irish just now. So there's no reason why it can't be achieved. But look, it's been a pleasure, Coach. It's been a pleasure. You've given a great, honest insight into your recent tour to the Netherlands. Great to see you back on the pitch. You're not you personally, but I'm sure you could still turn the arm over if needed be, Shane. But great to see
a few days to
back
recover, out. That's for sure. I can promise you that.
I know the feeling, mate. I just played last Saturday. It took me about a week. I'm only just getting over it. But great to see the boys back out there. Great to see some positive performances from some of them. And I'll be following closely to see what happens in the coming months. So, yeah, and hopefully see you over in Glasgow at some point as well, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely, Shaky. And just to finish off from my side, you know, you're always going to get honesty and openness from me. So thank you very much for providing the platform. And I think, you know, it doesn't help you go in the past and beat all those big teams. It's about what we do from now on moving forward in Scottish cricket. And I think we have a huge role. All of us have a role to play in that. And I'm just really looking forward to what the future holds for this team and this organisation. And it's been great chatting to you, though. And look forward to getting across Glasgow way to have a good catch up.
No, definitely, mate. Definitely. You take care.
Take care. Thanks, Becky.